Dinosaurs are some of the coolest, most intense, hardcore creatures to ever walk the face of the earth. But in the world of Pokemon, every creature is pretty cool, so they probably aren't that amazing, right? Oh no, they're definitely still awesome. But are they strong enough to keep up with the futuristic opponents of Pokemon Violet? To answer that question today, we're going to try to beat Pokemon Violet using only dinosaur Pokemon. And just to make it even harder, I'm gonna add a bunch of other rules on top too. Can these ancient creatures hold up, or did they deserve to go extinct? Let's find out. So after getting isekai'd into the world of Pokemon, we were given our choice of starter. Our options are a cat, a duck, and a little baby dinosaur. I think it's pretty obvious which I chose. For this run, I decided to do a little bit of a clever theme for the nicknames. Let me know in the comments if you figure it out. Our first friend gets the awesome nickname Roman, which seemed fitting. After getting our first dino, I destroyed Nemona, helped out Miraidon, escaped the Cave of Houndooms, and immediately began searching for our second Pokemon. So fast, I know! Now for our next dino boy, I chose to go with a Choodle. I know what you're thinking, how is that a dinosaur? It just looks like a little baby turtle. Well, Choodle might not look like much, but its evolution Dreadnought looks quite a bit like a Cumberosaurus to me. It's got the shell, the spiky tail, the strong jaw. It's perfect. So I throw a few Pokeballs at him and nickname him Aztec. Then Nemona wanted to battle again, as she always does, but I easily swept. Oh god, why am I on 2 HP? Aztec, please? Whew, okay. As I said, I easily swept her. Now all that was left was to save Penny from some Team Star grunts and head over to the academy. Now the tutorial section is out of the way, and this is where the run really begins. Katie the Bug Gym Leader is the first to face off against us, but thanks to our ancient power, not that ancient power, beating Katie is a breeze. We did get a little unlucky with some Fury Swipes RNG, but that didn't stop Roman and Aztec from squashing some bugs. Now the next few battles would probably be super difficult with just 2 Pokemon, so we decide this would be a great point to add our third team member. For the next member, I wanted something that was based off of one of the coolest dinosaurs in existence. Something that towers over literally every other living being. Something inspired by the king of monsters himself, Godzilla. That's right, we're getting a Tyranitar. Well, obviously, I'm not just gonna find and catch a Tyranitar in the wild, but we can get a Larvitar. So I explored around the area west of Cortando, then managed to get incredibly lucky. I was really just looking for any old Larvitar, but against all odds, we happened to run into a shiny one. Look at that lime green. Boy, he's so vibrant, so fresh, my lord. I took my time and carefully threw some Pokeballs at his face and named this little fella Inca. After that amazing stroke of luck, up next was the first of the 5 Titans, Cloth. The first phase was easy enough, and Aztec alone was enough to power through. But in the second phase, Cloth pulled out the big guns and Choodle went down. Fortunately, with the help of Arven, Inca pulled out a win, and after a few more battles, Roman was ready to evolve. Ladies and gentlemen, we now have a Crocolore on our hands. With our newly obtained power, I was ready to take on the next gym leader, so I rode over to Brassius, the grass-type trainer. This fight actually took a few attempts due to not equipping the right items and some bad RNG, but I knew my party could come home with a win. Roman took out Petlil, Smoliv, and Sudowoodo almost single-handedly since he has the type advantage and can inflict burn. What a beast. From here, the next battle is against the Sky Titan Bombardier, but before that, I wanted to catch a couple more dinos, starting with a Magikarp. Now, yes, I know, Magikarp is basically just a fish, but its evolution Gyarados is undeniably some kind of ancient sea serpent. So that's why I won't be using Magikarp until it evolves. I named this little fishy Maya and stored him away in our box. Similarly, I decided I wanted to catch a Shroomish. Again, it's a little grumpy flower and obviously not a dinosaur, sure, but its evolution Breloom definitely has some of the qualities we're looking for. Look, they're saying dinosaurs all had feathers, so who's to say some of them couldn't be plant hybrid monsters as well, okay? Also, it looks a lot like a Pachycephalosaurus, right? Am I crazy for thinking that? I don't think so. Anyway, I call her Trojan and once again stuff her in our box until she evolves. Okay, now it's finally Bombardier time. The first phase of the fight is super easy since Inca can use Rock Slide, a super effective move, and despite Arven and his Knackley doing nothing but standing there polishing their rocks in the second phase, yuck, Inca once again manages to take the bird out. With the bird dispatched, I head over to the second squad's base for our first run-in with a Team Star leader. It's the Dark Crew's Giacomo. And man, did I have some trouble with this guy. Getting through his grunts was easy enough, but his Starmobile was simply too tanky for us to deal with. We could barely do any damage before everybody fainted. I realized I wouldn't be able to get even close to beating Giacomo without at least one more dinosaur in our party, so I decided to hunt for another one. This time I was looking for a Bagon, so I headed to the south of Cascarafa and was amazed by what I saw. By some incredible luck, I somehow found a shiny in the very first group of Bagons that I found. For those of you keeping track at home, this is the second shiny in our party, and I'm not even hunting for these guys at all. Absolutely insane. Well, I catch this little dude and name her Jin, and then I spend about 30 minutes battling some wild Pokemon to get Jin to level up and gain some levels for Maya the Magikarp and Trojan the Shroomish. And while Trojan didn't quite get enough to evolve, Maya takes center stage and transforms into one of the coolest and most powerful Pokemon that exists. Welcome, Maya the Gyarados. Now that we have a much stronger party, it was time for our rematch against Giacomo. And it went pretty much as you would expect it would. I used Inca and Roman to get past Pawniard, then Maya just about held out on 3 HP, finishing off the giant Revavroom with a boosted flail. With Team Darkstar down, it was time to face our rival Nemona again. But with the massive boost in power we just experienced, this was probably the easiest stomp yet. Rockruff, Palmy, and Floragato couldn't handle anything I threw at them, so we ended up winning the fight without losing a single Pokemon. Now that we've progressed a little more and the maximum level cap is higher, we can level our Pokemon up to 24. And it just so happens that that means 2 of our Pokemon can now evolve. After getting to level 23, our girl Trojan finally evolves into Breloom, the Pachycephalosaurus. And after a few more battles, Aztec evolves into a Dreadnought. We now have 2 new absolute beasts on our team, just in time to take on one of the most difficult fights in the game, the Streamer Queen, Iono. The fight starts off well with Aztec using Rock Tomb to easily take out Wattrel, but unfortunately Bellibolt paralyzes Jin, which causes her to faint. Trojan also gets paralyzed but manages to tough it out and one punches Bellibolt away. Then I got super lucky against Luxio since Trojan managed to land 3 Mach Punches in a row despite being paralyzed. And now all that was left was to beat Miss Magus, so I let Trojan faint to get a clean switch out to Inca, who proved he was the absolute GOAT and shattered that stupid light bulb hat right off her head. I took a quick selfie with Iono along with her gym badge and I was on my way. Now, I know, I already have 6 Pokemon in my party, but why not get another for some type coverage? We could always swap them out. So I thought I would try to catch a Cyclizar. Fortunately, it didn't take too long at all, and I nicknamed this little guy Mesopotamia. Having another dragon type on our team is definitely going to help a ton in future battles. Now that we have a super strong squad, I thought it would be a good time to take on the next Team Star leader, Mela. Other than missing 2 attacks in a row right off the bat, the fight went really well. I started by using Dreadnought against Torkoal instead of Gyarados because Dreadnought has super effective rock attacks that aren't affected by the sun that Torkoal sets up with its ability Drought. This turned out to be the perfect choice because Aztec went on to sweep the entire fight. After that one-sided battle, it was time to take on Earthworm the Steel Titan, which, as always, is also a one-sided battle. Trojan is... no... my entire team are machines. They're so powerful these fights aren't even close. But just to assert even more dominance on the region of Paldea, Jin is ready to evolve into a Shelgon. Look at that ball of pure muscle. That's a Pokemon battling demon if I've ever seen one. Well, I think we may be a little OP now, but just to make sure, let's test it out on, I don't know, Kofu? I've got more than just spirit, Rika. I have power. Unlimited power. And yep, just as expected, Kofu gets absolutely obliterated. Jin takes out Veluza, Mesopotamia bodies Wugtrio, and Trojan finishes the fight against Crabominable. And just when I thought my team couldn't get any stronger at this point, Inca goes and evolves into Pupitar. I've always found it weird that Larvitar and its evolutions go from green to purple to screen again, but at least it still looks cool, and we get a massive stat boost from it. With this new power, we easily take down Team Star's Atticus, and at this point, we're almost ready for the next gym battle. Unfortunately, the next fight is against our good bro, Larry, but we have to do what we have to do. I need that badge, Larry. Sorry, it has to be this way. But first, I wanted to do a little bit of leveling, so I decided to battle some wild... Spathra, what the heck? Where did you come from? As I was saying, battling some wild Pokemon. Thanks to these battles, our original dinosaur, our OG Roman, evolved into a Skeledirge, and now we have ghost type coverage too, and that'll be super handy in the future. I also ran into a Tropius, which I decided to catch, and I named him Assyria. At this point, our team is just becoming more and more unstoppable with each passing minute. Dinosaur Pokemon might just be insane. After a bit more leveling, it was time to get the worst over with. Not because it's going to be difficult, but because I don't want to hurt my sweet boy Larry. Well, the fight starts and, that was easy. Well, I barely took any damage. Okay, thanks Larry, bye! But of course, then Nemona shows up and, that was also incredibly easy. It's really starting to feel like I might be too OP at this point. Let's hope Rhyme puts up a bit more of a fight. Of course, the Rhyme fight is a 2v2 rather than the usual 1v1, and this kind of throws me off my rhythm a bit, and that's terrible. And in a rap battle, that's the worst possible outcome. Starting out, it's Aztec and Jin versus Mimikyu and Banette. A couple super effective moves in the same turn is all it takes to beat Banette, and then Houndstone, but a terastallized Toxtricity is where the trouble begins. One discharge does massive damage to both of my Pokemon and even causes Aztec to faint. It also manages to take out Jin too in the very next turn. Now, it's up to Roman and Mesopotamia to put a stop to this Toxtricity's rampage, but that doesn't exactly go as planned, as Mimikyu and Toxtricity team up to take Skeledirge out. Alright, let's try Pupitar and Tropius? Fortunately, Inca does manage to chomp at the crystallized enemy and finally stops his reign of terror. Rhyme's final Pokemon is Mimikyu, which is no match for Inca, and that's another gym badge in the books. This battle really should not have been as difficult as I made it, but at least we got through it in the end. With that done, I head over to the Asado Desert to prove that these ancient dinos can go toe-to-toe with futuristic newfangled technology by beating Iron Treads, the Titan. We crush this oversized iPhone, then I do a little bit more leveling to get my party closer to the current level cap, and of course Nemona tries to battle us once again. You do remember how this went last time, right, Nemona? How you couldn't do anything and I barely took any damage? Yeah, okay, seems like you forgot. Let me remind you real quick. And just like last time, that fight was a breeze. Nemona is so far behind now, I can barely call her my rival anymore. Well, anyway, at this point, our next opponent to face is Tulip the Psychic type gym leader. I start the battle with our turtle lookalike Dreadnought, who powers through Farigiraf without taking a single point of damage. Then I swap out to Roman against Gardevoir, which turns out to not be the best choice. Roman goes down, and then I make an even worse mistake by throwing out Trojan. I completely forgot that Breloom is part fighting, so putting her up against a psychic Pokemon was not my best moment. Thankfully, we can always rely on Jin to get us through... guess not. As I was saying, Maya can always get us through a tough spot, and that's exactly what she does. Gardevoir is down, followed closely by his Pathra. That was looking tough for a moment, but now we're on to Tulip's last Pokemon, Florges. And we end the battle the same way we began it, with Aztec. A couple more chomps is all it takes, and that's another gym badge in the bag. Well, that was a lot closer than it needed to be, so to make sure that doesn't happen again, I decided I would use my time to catch another Pokemon. Well, two Pokemon, actually, starting with Electric. There were eels around in prehistoric times, right? Yeah, there had to be. Now, Electric is an interesting Pokemon because electric types are usually weak to ground moves, but not electric. No, this squirmy little guy has the ability to levitate, which means that it officially has no weaknesses, and that seems pretty OP, so I catch one at Porto Morinda and nickname her Khmer. And now the next Pokemon that I wanted to catch was a Noibat. Look at this tiny little thing, it's adorable. But we're going to turn it into a prehistoric beast of the night. I think I'll call him Indus. Now, catching them isn't all I'm gonna do, they're also way underleveled, so let's get them to the level cap and evolve them, starting with Electric. Fortunately, all he needs is a Thunderstone to turn him to an Electros, so after leveling him up, it was time to work on Noibat. And this actually took quite a while, but after over 1.5 hours of grinding, we finally have a Noivern that is level 48, which I'm immediately going to put into the box because he's super weak against ice attacks, which just so happens to be the type of the next gym leader that we're going to face. We'll use him later, I promise. But yes, it's time to battle the final gym leader, Grusha, which actually goes pretty smooth. I mean, the Ice Age was a big foe of... Were dinosaurs around during the Ice Age? I don't know. If they were, they probably had a hard time with it, but not this time. And honestly, I'm really not surprised, because we do have the perfect counter to Grusha in Skeledirge. Roman uses Torch Song to absolutely melt through any and all opponents that stand in his way. With Altaria down, that is all 8 gym leaders defeated. Woo! We're in the big leagues now. But before we can take on the Elite Four, there's a few more fights that we have to get through and another Pokemon to catch. Which Pokemon, you ask? Well, who else but Frigibax? Yes, it's time to get our first Ice-type Pokemon, and her being a Dragon-type doesn't hurt either. I managed to find one in the Glaciado Mountains and name her Yang Xiao. She looks so derpy right now, but once we evolve her, she's going to rival Inca in power level. Speaking of evolving, she does. We hit level 39 and gain a huge power boost in the form of Artibax, but that's not all. We're closing in on the final battles now, so I wanted to push the power up as much as possible, so I kept grinding out those wild battles, and after hitting level 50, Jin evolves into one of the strongest Pokemon ever, the Gen 3 pseudo-legendary Salamence, and she's shiny. One of the best shinies of all time. Hilarious. So green. Now it's time to test our new power, so we decide to take on another Team Star leader, the Fairy Crew's leader, Ortega. The fight starts as you would expect, with Assyria breezing through Azumarill and doing a ton of damage to Wigglytuff. Aztec then finishes off Wigglytuff and has no issues dealing with Darkspun. The only problem in this battle is the Starmobile. I lose Aztec and Trojan, but thanks to the damage they did to it, Roman comes in to clean up, winning us the battle. That's another Team Star group down. Next on my list is the final Titan, Tatsugiri. But before we get to that, I wanted to evolve both Inca and Yang Xiao into their final forms, which means we now have a shiny Tyranitar, who looks incredible by the way, and the coolest dinosaur around, Baxcalibur. Get it? Coolest? It's an ice type? Yeah, whatever. Man, imagine a fight between these two guys. That would be crazy. I'd love to see that. But not these two guys specifically, these two Pokemon. You know, whatever. But we're on the same team now, so let's just fight a Titan instead. Of course, we have to get past the false Titan Dondozo, but Yang Xiao and Indus make easy work of the oversized fish. Once Arven joins us, we beat up the powered-up Dondozo again, and Tatsugiri finally reveals itself. And it actually ends up being easier than Dondozo. 2 hits from Yang Xiao is all I need. Now that all the Titans are done with, let's finish off the Team Star groups. And the only one left is the fighting type leader, Aerie. I start the battle with our awesome looking Salamence, and we pretty easily rush through Toxicroak and Annihilate. Lucario gives us a little bit of trouble taking out Roman and dealing significant damage to Trojan, but with the power of friendship, Trojan toughs it out and beats both Lucario and Passimian. It's a 3v1 now, my team versus the final Starmobile, so let's see what Indus can do. Boom! A huge air slash from Indus and another, and one more air slash, and we've done it! That's Team Star finished. For now. Well, now that we've cleaned up a little, we can finally test ourselves against the Elite Four. We can finally find out if my team of dinosaurs has what it takes to become the very best in Paldea. Hey, Rika, let's fight. Here we go, Trojan versus Whiscash, but of course, thanks to our type advantage, there's really nothing Rika can do. It only takes 1 4 times effective Seed Bomb and Whiscash is done. As for Camerupta, I just had to put her to sleep with Spore, and then a couple Mach Punches finishes the job. Donphan goes down just as easily, as does Dugtrio, and so does Rika's Ace Clodsire. The Trojan sweep is wild. Next up is Poppy, and this fight was just as easy, only this time it was Roman Roman that sweeped. Nothing that Poppy had could hold up to Roman's Torch Song, as it boosted our special attack throughout the battle. The only slight chance she had was her Tinkaton, but she hilariously ended up missing her Stone Edge like an idiot. Easy. Elite Four, more like Elite Snore, am I right? Now it was time for our rematch with Larry, and fortunately he actually puts up a fight. It's not just a one-sided bloodbath like it's been so far. So first up, it's Yang Xiao versus Tropius. Not my Tropius, an inferior version, an imposter. Anyway, Baxcalibur does have 4 times effective ice moves, so Tropius isn't much of an issue, but Larry's next Pokemon, Staraptor, does do a hefty amount of damage to us. Fortunately, Yang Xiao toughs it out and finishes off the bird, thanks to a speedy Ice Shard. Altaria finally gets the better of Yang Xiao, but we still have plenty of Pokemon left in our party, and Inca shows us just how powerful he is by taking out Altaria and Oricorio. Larry just has 1 Pokemon left now, his ace Flamigo. So after a quick swap to Indus and a couple blasts from Dragon Pulse, Flamigo goes down and we are now on to the last of the Elite Four. Oh my god, it's Noivern versus Noivern. Which one will come out on top? Well, Hassel's Noivern is at a higher level, but that doesn't matter. Indus is still faster, and that Noivern is down. Next up is Flapple the Dragon Apple, but another Dragon Pulse, and boom, there he goes. I go for the same attack against Dragalge, but oh no, he survived it. Oh, this could be bad. The attack is returned as we're hit with the Dragon Pulse, but oh my god, the power of friendship saves us once again. Indus, you glorious dinosaur. Dragalge is down, Haxorus dead, and the final challenge, a fake Baxcalibur, boom, down in 1 hit. The 1 HP Indus sweep is real. We have found it absolutely insane. But it's not over yet. Now that we've beaten the Elite Four, we can finally challenge the best trainer in all of Paldea. We can now take on Gita. So up to the roof we go to meet her. The battle starts, and it's my starter dinosaur Roman against Espathra, and it's raining. Great, of course. Well, I guess I can't use Torch Song, so Shadow Ball it is. Fortunately, that's super effective, and it's enough to take out Espathra. But next out is Avalugg, and Shadow Ball isn't gonna cut it here. I try to use Torch Song, but as expected, we've been nerfed hard by the rain. We take a huge hit from Earthquake, but somehow Roman powers through and holds strong on 6 HP. We somehow land another Torch Song, and it's enough to beat the Avalugg. Next up is King Gambit, and I have no idea how, but despite being nerfed hard by the rain, Roman once again shows he is an absolute beast and destroys King Gambit. Everything is against Roman, but he just powers through like a champion. Sadly though, Gita brings out her water-type Veluza, who happens to be faster than Roman, and there's no chance he survives an Aqua Jet here, so he retires for now. Then I chose to bring out Inca to bait the Veluza into using another water-type move, and this works perfectly. She plays right into my hand as I swap out to Trojan and barely take any damage from the liquidation. Not only that, but Veluza is also left paralyzed, so Trojan easily beats the fish, and now there's only 2 more Pokemon to get through. I swap out to Shiny Jin, who breezes through Go-Goat, and then swap to Yang Xiao to face the final challenge. Glamora hits with the Dazzling Gleam, which is super effective, but doesn't do all that much damage, and I try to go for a Glaive Rush, but I guess Glamora is faster because we are then met with a shower of meteors. Glamora, relax. I try to use Trojan again, but this Glamora must have some insane speed boosts or something because Trojan gets beaten too. Fortunately, we still have 3 Pokemon ready to fight, so I'm not too worried. And it turns out I was right, since Inca buries the Crystal Flower in the ground with an Earthquake. With Gita beaten, we are now the ultimate Pokemon trainer, and we did it using only dinosaur Pokemon. Challenge complete. Wait. We may be the best trainer in Paldea, but there still are those weird robots from the future who keep talking about how they're better than us. We must defeat them. But in order to get there, we have to do a few things first, starting with beating Arvin. Yes, we're still friends, but he just wants to make sure we're strong enough to head to Area 0 to take on the robots. I guess being champion isn't enough to prove it. Whatever. Let's get this over with and show him that we're ready. The battle starts and it's Trojan versus Greedon. Thanks to a powerful Force Palm, Greedon takes a ton of damage and even gets paralyzed. This ends up not actually doing anything and the squirrel hits anyway, but it doesn't matter since one more attack and Greedon is out cold. Up next is Scovillain, which is fire grass type, weirdly, but a quick swap out to Roman lets me get another easy KO. Garganacl does take down Roman, but Aztec steps in to get revenge. Unfortunately, Aztec is now on just 3 HP, so there's not much he can do, but we're still 2 Pokemon ahead, so I'm not too worried about this battle. My turtle boy does somehow manage to get one last attack off, which is nice, but it's left to Jin to finish off Toedscruel. With only 2 Pokemon left, Arvin is backed into a corner. It's all but over for Arvin as Yangshao manages to beat Cloyster, and then Indus comes out to finish the fight against Mabostiff. Why did I need to prove myself to Arvin? This guy's terrible. Anyway, my next mission was to finish off Team Star for good, starting with Clavel, who lies about being the Team Star leader to test us. Dude, we've been over this. Why am I being tested? I'm the champion of Paldea. Okay, fine. Have it your way. Hey, Oranguru, sorry about this, but Boom Crunch, you're dead! Abomasnow, sorry, but you're dead too. Poltergeist, guess what? Yeah, you get it. Dead. The only one of his Pokemon that gave me a little bit of trouble was Quaquaval, who did manage to take out Indus, Trojan, Mesopotamia, and Inca, which sounds like a lot, but I was actually trying to beat Clavel using just the sandstorm damage, which I actually managed to do, so ha! Gotcha. Well, with Clavel beat, I could now take on the actual Team Star leader, Penny, and her team of Evolutions. Now, this fight went pretty smoothly, except for some kind of funky sleep behavior. I mean, look at this. Trojan takes out Umbreon, Aztec takes out Flareon, and Indus takes out Leafeon. All normal Pokemon stuff, all according to plan. But then Trojan uses Spore to put Sylveon to sleep, who then wakes up on the very next turn. What is with that? That shouldn't be possible. I guess it doesn't matter all that much since Trojan is faster and I can just put Sylveon to sleep again, but then she wakes up after 1 turn again. Ridiculous. She just does not want to stay asleep. Okay, well, Inca, use Earthquake. And with that, Penny and Team Star are beaten for good. We only have one final thing that we need to get done, but of course, Nemona butts in again to challenge us just before we're about to wrap up the run. Okay, bring it, Nemona. Lycanroc starts off by using Stealth Rock, but a quick liquidation means Nemona is already down 1 Pokemon. After swapping out to Jin, Palmot hits with a powerful Double Shock, but it's not enough to phase Jin, who replies with a Zen Headbutt, almost taking it out in 1 hit. Sadly, Palmot gets the upper hand here, but with its HP being so low, Roman can easily finish it off. I then bring out Trojan to take care of Earthworm and Yangshao to battle against Goodra. We're hit with a devastating Dragon Pulse, but our boy holds on strong and destroys Goodra by using Glaive Rush. We once again use Glaive Rush against Dudunsparce, but it's not quite good enough to get the KO. So Inca comes in to finish Dudunsparce off, and now we've made it to Nemona's Ace, the Pokemon that has been giving us trouble since the start. We meet again, Meowscarada. And oh god, we're hit by a super effective critical hit. That's gotta hurt. But now I can bring out my starter, my original dinosaur, Roman. And with the type advantage that we have, 1 massive hit from Torch Song is all we need. GG, Nemona, better luck next time. And now with all the loose ends wrapped up, it's time to finish this. It's time to face our final challenge. It's time to beat Turo. So me and my ragtag crew of Pokemon trainers head over to Area 0 for the ultimate showdown. AI Turo, you're going down. This is it. This is our time to prove dinosaur supremacy. Robots, stand no chance against our prehistoric might. AI Turo, you're going down. The battle begins and Iron Moth tries to prevent us from attacking by paralyzing us, but Inca simply does not care and hits with a super effective Earthquake. Next out is Iron Hands, so I swap to Roman for that sweet fighting immunity, and just as planned, Iron Hands tries to use Drain Punch, but it doesn't affect us. Thanks to the added damage from the Sandstorm, 2 Torch Song attacks is more than enough to beat Iron Hands. Next up is Iron Thorns, another variant of Tyranitar, but an inferior version since it's not old. Trojan attacks with a Mach Punch and boom, a huge hit! One more attack and Iron Thorns is down. So far, I've lost 2 Pokemon, but Turo has lost 3. So we're in the driver's seat. I bring out Inca once again, who hits with a massive Stone Edge, almost immediately defeating Iron Bundle. Unfortunately, Inca is still paralyzed and fails to attack on the next turn. So Iron Bundle gets a strong Water Pulse off and Inca falls, meaning that it's a 3v3 battle. I bring out All Reliable Trojan, who quickly disposes of Iron Bundle, then swap for Yang Shao to face off against Iron Jugulus. I'm hit with a quick Flash Cannon, but the damage is immediately returned with an Ice Fang, but we're still super even, it's neck and neck, but thanks to the speed of Ice Shard, we attack first and Turo is down to his last Pokemon. This is it, the final obstacle in our journey. Some weird robot called Iron Valiant. Yang Shao uses Ice Shard, but it barely scratches the enemy. We're then hit with a Brick Break, which quickly drains the little remaining HP from Yang Shao. I try to make use of Trojan, but once again, our attacks do barely any damage here. We're just chipping away and trying to hold on against a huge onslaught from Team Robot. A devastating Spirit Breaker lives up to its name and crushes Trojan's HP bar. It's really not looking good, but what's this? Trojan's final attack. A Paralyzed from Effect Spore comes through when all hope is lost. Trojan doesn't go down without a fight. Aztec hits with a Poison Jab and boom, insane damage. Oh no. This is it. This is it. The last attack. If it misses, we're done. Please, 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 Aztec use Poison Jab. Yes! Iron Valiant is down. I never doubted you for a second, Aztec, my boy! With the Iron Team beaten, AI Turo has lost, and all that's left is for Miraidon to beat the evil Miraidon, and that's it! Officially, challenge complete! Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you did. Till next time.